Okay, then welcome to the last session in the sidetrack today, but of course not the least session. Just in a timely sequence, the last one, not to judge the quality. The session has the title. Did you want was? Did you know about infix filters and projection functions? It's a long day today, so excuse me for having reading difficulties at this time. The presenter is Nico Schönteich, and I hand directly over to Nico. Nico is, by the way, developer advocate, so I expect us to learn a lot from Nico today. Okay. Okay.
Pressure. How's the sound? Can everybody hear me well? I heard there were issues with the mic. All good? Okay, cool. So I'll try and make it quick. I know I'm the only person standing between you and a cold drink. So I'll try and make it quick. And also quick disclaimer, this is a session that will not talk about AI at all. So I didn't expect that, but that's nice. Okay, I like the atmosphere already. Okay, so a quick story about this presentation. So I read the effing manual once, and so I was on a project, and we had a very specific scenario, and I was reading the documentation, and I found something that I haven't seen before, and that was infix filters, and then that was also projection functions. But we'll talk about the infix filters more than the projection functions today. And has anyone used infix filters before? Quick show of hands. Okay, a third, I'd say. So yeah, bad luck for you because you already know them. But yeah, I hope you still enjoy the talk. And yeah, so infix filters. The word is, makes sense if you know it. So you have a prefix, you have a suffix, and then you have an infix, which is sort of a thing in between. So within a word, and we can use an infix filter as part of a path segment to filter on that specific path segment, and it's part of a longer path expression. So that's why infix, because it's in between something and it's filtering. So think of like a navigation path, and you're filtering for the first thing in the navigation path, and then other stuff can follow after that. Okay. So, and I'll keep checking my notes here because I want to make sure I don't miss anything. Okay, let's get into the code, or actually, I'll show you the first example. So this is the thing that I proposed. So this is my session proposal, and this one actually here is the first infix filter sort of example that we can look at. So let's say we have speakers and we select from speakers, and then where exists a proposal that is selected true, happy speakers. Okay, so this piece right here, that is the infix filter. Okay, so it's kind of a suffix here because it's proposal, and then the infix filter, there's nothing after it, but there could be stuff after that. Okay, and yeah, so that was the first example. That is a NeoVim, yeah, the IDE you see here. And this is the UI5Con theme that I created that I'm still rocking today. Yeah, no reCAP theme, unfortunately. Next year, maybe. Okay, so infix filters are part, and I think I saw that, yes, this morning in the Patrice showed it, and I think this is a good piece of documentation. I'll show this again here. So this is the CDS language family, and maybe that's part of imposter syndrome that I have. Maybe you have that as well. I always feel like other people understand this more than I do, but I'll repeat it anyway because I'm probably not the only one. Okay, so CDL is the thing that we write in our CDS files, .cds. Okay, that's our schema, our service definition. We all know that, and then that compiles to season. That's the thing that is more machine readable. That's the first pair. And we do have infix filters in CDL, okay? So we can use infix filters in our schema definition, and we'll see that. Then there's the query pair. So we have the query language, CQL. We mostly work with that today. And then the in-memory representation of that, which is CQN. So that is the thing that is happening at runtime. And then we have the expression pair, so the expression language, and of course, infix filters are part of that too. And that the in-memory representation of that is the expression notation. Okay, so that was that. And we can get started with the CDS REPL. So CDS R for REPL, and we want to run the current, like this thing right here, and we'll start it in QL mode, so in the query language evaluation mode. So we can just start typing CQL straight away, and it will get evaluated. And we'll do some warm up. So, or maybe I should introduce the data model that I use for this. Okay, so I talked about speakers, happy speakers. Okay, so what I did is I grabbed all the session info from the reCAP agenda page and pulled all the sessions, the speakers, and all the proposals as well. So proposals as well. So there is proposals that were not accepted. Obviously, they're on the page as well. So yeah, I was surprised to see that, but they're not like rendered, but you can see them in the data if you dig deep. And that's the data model, pretty easy. And in the DB data, we do have the raw data. Oh, by the way, did you know you can use JSON to seed the like in the data directory? It's not only CSV. So just a small tip. And yeah, so that's the data model. Let's go back to the REPL. So I'll select from speakers. Okay, so that's all the speakers we have. And then I will select from like this, select from speakers, and then I'll add a projection. So all of that, and then the proposals, and then all of that as well. Okay, so now we do have the speakers with their proposals. This is just, a little finger gymnastics to warm up with the REPL, okay? So, but we'll get to the infix filters. And then next up, we can go even deeper, which I think is cool, because proposals, as you might see here, so it's a to many composition. So we have this linking table. So this right here is not the actual proposal; it's just the linking element to guide us to the next proposal, like to the actual proposal. So in here we do proposal and then all of that. Okay, and unfortunately this is not being displayed because it's sort of too deep in the like too deeply nested. But you see here there is an object here. Okay, and now let's get started with the infix filtering. So there is one speaker who has, now we start with the infix filter, who has a name that is Paul Pechvogel. Oh, speakers. Oh, dang it. Okay, so for those who don't speak German, it's Paul, the guy who has bad luck. So whatever, like Pech is like having bad luck. Okay, so this is the one speaker who hasn't gotten any proposals accepted. Okay. Like that. Work. Okay. So that was an infix filter. Okay, the relation is speakers, and then we add an infix filter for that. And now we can do. Oh, by the way, this is probably a good time to just mention the standard functions that we have. So we can do a contains name, and then all the speakers we have in their name Pech. Okay, so that works as well. And interestingly, in the schema definition, we see that the name is a calculated element, also using a standard function. And so is on the proposals the selected Boolean. Okay, so if there is a start time and an end time to a session or to a proposal, then that proposal got accepted. So maybe you're not familiar with calculated elements, so just spreading the words, I think that's pretty cool. Okay, so back to the REPL. So we want to do this. Actually, let me do this and then add the. No, yeah, we'll go back in here. So this is all the, and I will just fire this off. So this is all the proposals, and now we want to filter for just the proposals that were selected. Okay, so we'll do an infix filter on the proposals. And here we can say we will use the exist predicate. So in the proposals, which is sort of the linking thing between guiding us because it's a too many composition. So exists proposal selected. Oh, no, nested infix filter. Okay, so this is all the accepted proposals in here now. So all the speakers. And now we will add back the infix filter for Paul, who had bad luck. And that should give us no proposals, okay? Because he had no accepted proposals. Okay? So that's why that's empty. Okay, so that was a quick word about the infix filters. Oh, and now we saw it already. The happy speakers, if I go into the CAT service, we have the happy speakers who are, that's part of what I had in my in the abstract that I submitted. So the happy speakers are the ones from the speakers where exists a proposal is selected. Okay, and we can do that in the REPL as well, but you've already seen it, so it's pointless. Okay, let's continue. Let's switch gears a little bit. That was CQL with the REPL, which I think is really cool. And now we'll talk about CDL a little bit. All right, 10 minutes, great. CDL a little bit. So we have seen this exist predicate here, which is super powerful. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. When this thing exists, then the filter is true. If not, not. So that makes a whole lot of sense. And then we can create new calculated elements as well. So in here, where we have this projection on the reCAP speakers, we can do an exists if the proposal, blah, 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 blah. So if there is an existing accepted proposal, then the speaker is happy, yes or no, a Boolean. So I think that's pretty cool. We can create new calculated elements with infix filters. Ignore the action for now. That's for later for the projection functions. And then we can actually, which is pretty powerful, I think, we can create new association. So we can publish a new association based on an infix filters. So let's say a proposal has resources, like things that are just like attached to the proposal. And one type of that could be a presentation. Then we can expose presentations as a new association as part of the proposals by using this filter. And this is also very powerful if you're looking into polymorphism and denormalization. Not going into detail now, but this is really cool. So you can have new associations based on an infix filters. And this one right here is also very cool because you can, from an association, you can sort of reduce the cardinality and just pick one where this filter matches. And then this is just another calculated element, okay? And I will show you a very practical example of that now. So I was in this project and we had screenshots. Okay, so we were using the CAP attachments plugin, and we had screenshots. So we have two screenshots here, and then we had a calculated element that was called favorite screenshot, and that was exactly using this reducing cardinality infix filter, where so it's the one screenshot where favorite is true. That was the favorite screenshot. Okay, so I can go /favorite screenshot and I get the one that is the favorite, like the thumbnail or whatever. Okay, so that is pretty cool. And now comes the first limitation. So with the attachments plugin, you can usually, I'll go back to all the screenshots. So if I pick, is the right one? Yeah. So if I pick this one and I now active entity true. Oh, really? Thank you. Thank you very much. I mean, the URL is kind of long. It would be nice to have it display, like have it display in full, but okay. So this is the one. And now with the attachments plugin, usually you can do a /content and then you get the screenshot. Okay. So this is just how the attachments plugin works. But now with the infix filter, I can go back to my favorite screenshot and I cannot go to content. There, that's a not found, because the attachments plugin requires the ID of the thing you're trying to access to be part of the URL. and it's not, because we have this sort of linking with the favorite screenshot. And CAP knows that the favorite screenshot is this one object, but yeah, it's not being passed through to, or it is being passed through to the attachments plugin, but it's not checking for it. So whatever, first limitation, but you can obviously work around that, get the ID from the favorite screenshot, and then construct a new query, including the ID based on like slash screenshots. And that's what we ended up doing as well. Okay, so that was the infix filters, and we'll quickly talk about the projection functions. So I have a function called isSpeakerHappy here. 5 minutes, thank you. IsSpeakerHappy that doesn't really make any sense because we have the isHappy thing up here, and this is way cleaner than, and we talked about the shift left. So model the thing and don't try and build the logic in your custom service handlers. Okay, so we're just doing it to demo the projection functions once. So in my handler, I do have this implementation of the function isSpeakerHappy. And what we can do with a projection function is similar to a projection, and I showed that in the REPL with the nested tag template strings, or with the CQL template literals. It's not a string here because it's CQL directly, but this could be a tag template string. This is like expanding on the proposals as well, right? So this is how we can do how we can expand on associations and compositions, but we can also do that using projection functions like here. And this is part of the columns. So I say select from speakers ID, and then also I want from that speakers, I want to expand on the proposals. And these are like JavaScript arrow-like functions, but they're still executed on DB level, which is not very obvious when you look at it. So they're still executed on DB level, but they look very much like JavaScript. And if we check the documentation on that, here it is. So under CDS queries for Node.js, obviously, select, and then under the columns, we can see this is the example they give for the projection function. And under here, it says projection functions are the most recommended way to specify projections. They support nested projections. As I said, they do the expands. They don't need to call a parser. They resemble CQL very much, blah, blah, blah. And then they also offer type, they can prospectively offer type inference. And I'm not sure if you saw it this morning in the session from Christian Georgi, where he showed that the tag template strings or literals might also soon have syntax highlighting, code completion potentially. So I was researching about projection functions, and I was struggling to understand why this is the most recommended way, honestly, because the tag template strings seem so much more readable. We see the other the equivalent example down here. So just this right here, that's the tag template thing. This seems much more readable than the example at the top. And now actually what we saw this morning kind of confirms that maybe projection functions are just another way to do it. And I talked to DJ about it. There's more than one way to do it. And yeah, that's probably one of those things. So yeah, infix filters exist, templates, the projection functions exist. And yeah, I think that's pretty much all of what I wanted to show. Hopefully you saw something new. We do have a feedback slide. And thank you very much, and hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah, Nico, do we have any questions in the room? Potentially regarding infix filters or projection functions?
Good presentation. Is it possible to define a sort order on an index filter? For example, you showed us the favorite and say only one element. And the question is, if you have multiple screenshots with favorite clad true, is it possible to define an order, for example, on the upload date?
Good question. I have not seen anything like that. No, maybe there is some way and I don't know about it, but I haven't seen it. And I think when we had this bug sort of during development, like we had multiple things that were favored true. that it was sort of random which one, would be returned. Like there was no logic to it, if I recall it correctly. But yeah, maybe I'm missing something, but I haven't seen anything like that. No. Okay. Yeah. Nice that you read the docs.
I can also highly recommend to read the documentation. It helps sometimes, yeah. Okay, we would have time for one last question. Okay, everybody always already thinks of the after party. Okay, so this would also thank you, Nico, for being here. Which brings us to the end. Okay, take a round of applause. Which brings us at the end of this sidetrack. But for everybody here on site, the conference is not over. Right now, if you go downstairs in the Audimax, there will be the closing session starting in a minute or so. But you keep seated for just 20 seconds. Yeah. And don't forget after the closing session that we have an after party, that there will be beer available, for example, other drinks and burgers and stuff like this. So you should not miss out on that. Yeah. And for everybody who joined us remotely online, you may miss the after party, or you will miss the after party, which is sad, but thanks that you were with us, and we hope you had a great day and learned something and enjoyed the day, and see you next year. And for everybody on site, enjoy the closing and the after party. Goodbye, and also see you next year. Bye.